Hey, Mark and Joey here on a Tuesday morning. A beautiful day here in Ontario, Canada. If you're new to the show, that's where we live and come from. And that tells you that we love hockey. And the hockey free agency world was on its game yesterday. All the sports shows were all watching hockey. Everything in Canada yesterday was about hockey, even though we know that so much of the movement and so many of the players. There's an interesting discussion yesterday about when will the U.S. take over on the number of great players over Canada, because the U.S. programs are pushing out so many great players now. So many more markets are playing hockey. And, of course, they have 10 times the population of us. So there's a lot of concern in Canada that, in fact, almost every year now, Americans will be the most sought-after players. And we'll see how that goes. But yesterday with free agency mattered a lot to a lot of teams. There was a lot of moves, like so many moves, we can't even kind of go through them for you. You can probably find them in your local, in the NHL.com and things like that. But what we want to look at is who made out well yesterday, who we think did not make out well. And then, of course, we got to look at our home team, which we will do, which is the Toronto Maple Leafs, and see what challenge they still have with Marner and if that can be fixed. So let's start out with winners and losers here in the draft.
Yeah, so obviously the biggest winner to most people would be the New York Rangers. They got the #1 free agent in Panarin. I hope I'm saying that right. Teni Panarin, I believe is how it's pronounced. So, great forward from the Columbus Blue Jackets, was mostly sought after. Obviously, was a #1 free agent on the board. The Rangers got him. Now, why is it significant? Funny enough, they said they were going to rebuild, but with the draft, with the way the draft worked out, they're rebuilding real fast, and they're a playoff team as far as I'm concerned. They got Kako and the #2 pick, which was unexpected that they got the #2 pick. When they got it, that was the guy they expected to get. Great forward. They go get Panarin, who's a great forward. They still got a great goaltender as far as I'm concerned, Henrik Lundqvist. Yeah. So they can get it done, and this is very impressive. And this is what New York has to be, because we always talk about, Lakers and NBA. Well, they're kind of Lakers of the NHL. They're actually the most expensive franchise in New York, obviously. Lots of celebrities always come out to games. It's important that they're good.
Tons of TV
and now
they've
tons of TV, and they've quickly flipped the script here, and now they're looking legit. Very impressive stuff yesterday, getting the #1 free agent, and apparently even maybe left some money on the board to go to the New York Rangers. So very impressive. New York Rangers are obviously a winner from the draft in Kako, from still having their great goaltender Henrik Lundqvist, and now getting Teni Panarin. At a high price, but at a reasonable price for what he was. Top free agent on the board there. Stolen from Columbus. Very impressive. You got probably a 30 to 40 goal scorer in Panarin, and we all think the rookie could easily put up 20 or 30 himself. Right. So this is a great move, I think, to get him, and I'm interested. The Rangers.
Well, does he leave money on the table because they're going to go make a hard pitch at Marner, even maybe an offer sheet?
So that was the first rumor, was that if any team was going to make an offer sheet to Marner, it was going to be the New York Rangers. They secured a lot of draft picks this year and kind of going forward, and really because they were going to go young is what their plan was. So they kind of have the picks to spare.
They probably sold this Marner and the new guy they brought on board. We're going to get Marner over here, whatever, and that might have been part of the pitch.
It wouldn't shock me. I also think if Marner was going to sign an offer sheet, because, by the way, you have to still sign him, it would be a team like the Rangers. It wouldn't be some loser team, and that's why you're not seeing like a random team like the Florida Panthers throw.
Virtually no other names are coming up.
But no, it was really only the Rangers who ever came down. Even in trade talks about, they've called the Leafs now, seeing will you just trade, was the Rangers too. So, it wouldn't be far-fetched. It wouldn't be the first time. Could it be someone else from the Leafs that they're saying they're going to go after Marner, and the Leafs go, well, we'll trade you someone else instead?
Yeah.
Maybe. I do think a Nylander might fit well on the Rangers. You take a little bit of a part of his salary for the Leafs. You could still send him there. Kako is from Finland. So they got the European vibe going on there. Panarin's not American or Canadian either, so you kind of got the European-style team over there. You got Henrik Lundqvist from Sweden, which is where Nylander's from.
Right.
I could see something that they're trying to get Marner, but if they didn't, I wouldn't be surprised if the Leafs threw someone else out there, and the Rangers go, that could work, that could work. So the Rangers
are... the signing last year with the Leafs was too much money. So, like you said, got to keep cap space.
You'd have to keep some cap, but that's not out of the norm, and you'd still get rid of, let's say, he signed for 8. Like, let's say you guys take 6, we'll take him, we'll take 2. That's still pretty reasonable. I'd be okay with that. if you kept Marner, obviously. But yes, I do believe the Rangers are going to push for someone from the Toronto Maple Leafs team. They know the Leafs are in trouble. They know they need to sign Marner. It's either going to be taking Marner, or I think they might take somebody else off our hands. But the Rangers are all in now. With this signing, with the draft the way it went, Rangers are now back, guys. They're back for a run.
I wouldn't be shocked at all that the Leafs and the Rangers are talking about a trade here. I don't think the Leafs need 4 picks because the Leafs are a now team. They're a now team. They're a good team. They should be able to, you don't want to take 4 picks for a guy like Marner. You're taking a big hole on your team. 4 picks mean nothing. That's, whatever number of years away before that's going to really come into reality. The Leafs are a now team. They need to get, if they're moving Marner, they need to get players. They need to get somebody to come back this way.
You don't get to choose these offer sheets. It's either you match it or you don't.
On the offer sheet, but I think you're talking trade.
I don't think the Rangers really want to do an offer sheet either. They know it's ridiculous, these offer sheets. Now, the only reason why the Leafs would be okay with it is you can now make an offer sheet for Patrick Laine and use the picks you got and send your picks to Winnipeg and make Winnipeg have to fire under the gun here. So that, by the way, might be another player that the Rangers could easily go for. Is Laine's
especially with this European influence.
A restricted free agent. Yeah, so you look at Marner, you look at Laine, you look at could they maybe ask for Nylander. They might be in the market for someone like that. I think they definitely are. I think that's how they got Panarin. They got Kakko in the draft. I mean, they're all in, I think, right now. And the New York Rangers, like I said, they're like the Lakers. They don't care about picks. They don't care about this. It worked out. I mean, it worked out, but I think now that they're close, they're willing to give whatever to make a run for it here. These guys are young, though, too. You gotta remember, Panarin is not old. He just signed a big deal. Kakko's a draft pick. Lundqvist is up there in age, but you can maybe find a goaltender if he doesn't have a good year, but he's still playing solid hockey.
You
look at Luongo at 40 years old. He can go to 40. And then you look at Marner would be young, Laine would be young, so it'd be worth it for them to give up a ton of picks or give up some players or some cap space, something along these lines to get another forward of that caliber. It's going to be very interesting in New York. I guarantee New York's sitting back going, guys, we're one move from being that team again. And you got to remember, it was only 2012 maybe to 14 that they were kind of like, they got Nash and all those guys. They were going for Stanley Cups like a couple years in a row there, so they're not too far removed from it. Maybe they can get back to that stage with the way the draft treated them and now free agency has treated them. All of a sudden they rebuilt. It's the fastest rebuild I've ever seen.
Well, there's
guys.
no doubt. There's no doubt this kind of a move puts the word out that they're trying to win now. That's got to impress Marner. It's got to impress Laine out of Winnipeg. And by the way, it's Winnipeg versus New York. Winnipeg maybe versus Toronto. Are you kidding me? This guy's going to move. And if he can get the right offer sheet, I don't think Winnipeg can afford to keep him. And
Winnipeg's made it so that they could afford to keep him. Now, would it be worth it if you're Winnipeg? You've lost a lot. You've lost a lot. You lost a lot. Drake Trouba, Tyler Myers. Oh man, the other guy's blanking me. Ford. They lost him too. You could take those 4 picks and start over. It is Winnipeg, like you said. I think Marner's a little bit harder to sell for the Rangers. He's a hometown boy. Toronto's very similar to New York. It's a high market, big market for sponsors. It's cold anyway.
The trouble with Marner, his feelings have been hurt, and this gets to be worse.
Well, that's why I like the Nylander.
This gets to be worse than anything else.
If I'm the Leafs, I'm calling about Nylander.
I like that deal.
I'm going, guys, you guys have a European feel. We'll take $2 million. He's a $6 million player. I mean, Nylander's not a bust. He had a good year before that. He struggled.
But I think Marner wants to go now. I think he's made his mind up. He wants to go.
Or take Nylander out, though.
Well, that and huge money. They've lost the opportunity to get Marner like they could have for a discounted price. He's going to want now Matthews' money, without a doubt. And he deserves it because he plays every game, every season. Matthews is half a season player, 2/3 of a season player. Marner's going to want that. He's going to want to be in a position where he's seen as the best player on that team, or second best, or equal, whatever we want to call it. That's okay getting Nylander to move, but if you're Rangers, you want Marner. I just think you want Marner. The guy's a great player.
You want Marner, but at what price? You don't want to give much up right now if you're Rangers. You're feeling pretty good. That's why I think the Nylander deal, if you're Leafs, hopefully you think about this, is worth it. And if you can convince the Rangers that Nylander's a $6 million a year player, that's not bad to have a $2 million hit against you. It opens up an extra $6 million to pay Marner. I'd rather keep Marner over Nylander. I think if the Rangers want to look at the cost of getting Marner, Nylander might look way more impressive to them because the Leafs won't ask for too much, knowing that you're taking a lot of money off their hands. Hell, they might give you for nothing if you're going to take the whole $8 million a season off their hands so they can go sign Marner. So I'm just thinking for both teams, the cost of Marner for the Rangers will be high. You can guarantee that Leafs, because right now, the Leafs are in no rush because they can force Marner just to sit back, work out a deal, figure something out. So, they're not necessarily in a panic unless someone does an offer sheet, which is a high price to pay with 4 first-round picks. So we'll see. But arguably, Rangers are the most looked at team this summer, with more trades probably to come. They won free agency, they won the draft, and here they are in a position to possibly make a run starting next year. So we'll see what happens with the Rangers going forward.
Yeah, I agree 100% there on that possibility for them.
We're going to follow up another winner being the Florida Panthers. They got Sergei Bobrovsky. I think that's a good pickup as goaltender. Obviously, Luongo retired. Probably because
they had to do something.
No, but they probably knew he was coming.
Yeah.
Bobrovsky, so they said, Luongo, hey man, you're out. They got a good young team. Actually had a great home record. And if you had a goaltender like Bobrovsky, really their best goaltender had been Reimer, not Luongo for the last couple of years. Bobrovsky's a huge upgrade, I think, from Reimer personally. Yeah. They had a good power play. They had a good home record. Could they turn their away record and make the playoffs? I definitely think they can. They're a good young team.
Well, they changed coaching last year, too.
Coaching, so they're a good young team. They got a great goaltender. And then to add to the young team they got, a team that was already kind of close, they've now got Anton Strawman from Tampa Bay, good defenseman, and Brett Connolly from Washington, a good forward, like a third liner, maybe second liner. So they added some pieces, some veteran pieces to add with their young group. So they got the veteran side of it, they got the young side of it, they got a now
top
goaltender.
They need a coach to convince them to travel and win.
Yeah, that's all they need. It's some motivation to win on the road. They're comfortable in their home building. Who wouldn't be living in Florida? But I think they won, and they were.
Well, we went to a game last year. It's a great feeling in that home. In the Florida arena.
Yeah, and when you wake up and it's 90 degrees every day of your life, I think you play good hockey. So they just need to learn how to do it when they have to travel to crappy climates, I guess. But anyways, yes, I do think that was a win by Florida. That was a good day by them. Really, the 2 smaller pickups that underrated, I think, but veteran guys that could add an influence to this team, maybe even help on the road. And then a veteran goaltender, who in my mind is a huge upgrade from James Reimer, and arguably in the playoffs for Columbus was the reason they swept Tampa Bay. He was phenomenal against Tampa Bay. And that's why they swept them, and even great against Boston, even though they ended up losing that series. So he's a playoff-proven goaltender, too. Let's move on to Nashville. Nashville really only made one huge signing. They got rid of big contracts this year. They really did a lot, which surprised me because they've been so good, but they have been really bad in the playoffs. They have not led up to their regular season performances in the playoffs. They have a great goaltender, Pekka Rinne, but they have PK Subban. They got rid of that cap in order to sign Matt Duchene. I think that's a great pickup.
I think that's a great
Matt Duchene's a young player, great player. They got him in for a long time. I think he can help them get over that hump in the playoffs. What a fantastic pickup by them. So Nashville really won, I think, with Matt Duchene alone. They're talking about getting rid of, oh my God, the guy from Ottawa. I can see his face. I can't remember his name, but another guy with a big cap hit. Had a horrible year this year. They might get rid of that. They were a number 2 regular season team with the worst power play in the league. And a horrible power play in the playoffs. Matt Duchene's a great playoff guy. He can easily get him over that hump. And Matt Duchene, I think, great pickup. Getting rid of PK's salary cap was a great one. Yeah, Matt Duchene with the power play alone. They're already a 2 seed with bad power play.
They're already a good, I mean, they're second seed. The playoffs this year made everybody look weird.
Yeah.
So they're already.
But they've been bad in the play. They've made one good run in the playoffs, but they have not gotten the cup final with a top goaltender, a top offense, top defense.
Right.
They've not gone to a cup. They need to get to a cup final. This is now Matt Duchene, in my mind, is the guy to do that for them because he can add to the power play, add to the first line. I just think it's time. The Pekka Rinne goaltenders, you gotta take advantage when they're healthy and they're playing great hockey, and that's what he's doing.
In their prime.
They gotta do it, man. They gotta do it now. This is their chance. So I think a big win. Getting rid of PK's contract and then picking Duchene up. A big win for Nashville. By the way, New Jersey, made some other kind of small pickups here. They're still looking good. They're another team that's going to go last from playoff spot, to my mind. They're going to go from last place to a playoff spot.
2 years ago, they were in the playoffs, so it's not like it was...
Yeah, it's not crazy, but again, the lottery worked out for them. It's amazing how the lottery worked out for these 2 teams, and the Rangers and the New Jersey Devils. I think the New Jersey are a playoff team starting next year. Cup team in a couple of years, same with the Rangers, so another win there.
So who lost?
Let's be honest, we know this.
Lost, right?
This isn't out of the blue. The biggest loss is simply the Columbus Blue Jackets, who lost Bobrovsky, Panarin, and Duchene.
But they took a one-year shot, right? They built up, had Tortorelli as the coach, and they built up for one run in the playoffs. So they weren't unexpected this to happen.
I think that's bigger than they expected. It's not like they traded for Panarin or traded for Bobrovsky for this year. They've had him on the roster. The only trade they really got was Duchesne, so you can't expect him to stay. He hadn't been there very long. But wow, you just got gutted after a good year. You swept Tampa.
Welcome to being the Oakland A's of baseball.
I mean, living in Columbus, I guess, ain't easy.
Yeah.
They got Gustav Nyquist, which I think is a solid signing there. He's not replacing Duchesne or Panarin, but he's a solid signing for a lot less money. I think could really help them, but they need to do something. They still might squeak in.
And they were barely a playoff team and then made a run in the playoffs. So this year's tougher.
Hey, with the Rangers, with the Rangers getting better and New Jersey getting better, and you were already the last seed with all those guys on your team, there's no way you're making the playoffs as far as I'm concerned. Tough go. Tough go. The Islanders, people say they lost. I don't think they lost. They lost Robert Leonard to Chicago. He took a one-year deal to go to Chicago. By the way, I think Chicago is a small win there. Leonard could really carry them. Crawford's been very injured. They've been a mix of goaltenders recently.
And they made a big run. They made the coach change. I mean, they made other moves during last season that should help for this. And they do have two of the best players still in the league. Right.
So, I mean, I think Chicago got a small pickup there. No one's really talking about. I think that could push them over the edge. You're right. They're already close. I mean, a good run with the new coach.
Yeah.
So I think this goaltender could really help them get over the edge. But who did the Islanders get? I mean, they got Semyon Varlamov, who was in Colorado and played some really good hockey until got pushed back by a new goaltender, but had played good hockey for many years. I think Varlamov is a good replacement for Leonard. I think he's equally as good. I mean, Leonard, you got to remember, had not had a great career until this year, so that's why he only got a one-year deal at Chicago. I like Varlamov. He's more proven, I think, and they got him for a little bit. They got him for 4 years, so I like that pickup by them. Places him. Also, though, they got their captain back, which I thought was necessary. Now, people are saying they overpaid.
Yeah.
You never know until he performs again.
Yeah.
But I don't think you could afford to lose him because they thought they might get Panarin. They did not. The Rangers got him down the road. So I don't think you could have lost Andrus Lee. So I think that's the position they were in. They were going, guys, we have to get him back. He's now in the power position. So they might have overpaid, but in a spot where I think they had to at this point. So the Islanders didn't change much.
Here's one thing that I don't mind. People say you overpay. This is a guy you know. This is a guy who's important to your franchise.
He's your captain.
They would still go out and overpay on a free agent that you don't even know would fit into your city or your team. I don't mind overpaying homegrown guys and guys that are there already and you know what you've got. That's worth the money because lots of guys overpay on free agents and have no idea how that's going to work in your team. So I am okay with that. I don't think that's a big deal. So lots of times they overpay, but they know what they're getting in this guy when they overpay.
Well, and I agree with you. I agree, like, it's your captain. It's your leader. Yeah. It's not just a forward who puts up points. I think that's such an underrated position now as the leader of your team. You see in the Leafs, no captain.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's hurting them.
I mean, I know that most people think they talk to the refs. No, they do a lot in the dressing room, a lot on the bench. If you want to see a great captain, Chara, watch him in the playoffs. When he was injured, he was still chatting away. So I think you had to overpay at this point. So people think they lost. I think it's not a win, but it's not a loss. You kept the same team. You might have overpaid for your captain, but I think that's not an overpay when he's your captain and a great player.
Yeah.
That's two things that teams are finding trouble right now.
Yeah.
It's like Jonathan Taves in Chicago. It's like Crosby to learn. You have to lead to get through the playoffs, man. And Pietrangelo did it for St. Louis, and Michael O'Reilly did it as an assistant. So I think that was important for them to get. I think it would have been a huge loss if they lost him. So I'm not too upset with what the Islanders did here in free agency. Now, here's arguably the biggest loss because we fight over this all the time. Whose fault it is in Edmonton. But I blame McDavid. You blame the team around him. But they went out and did one thing besides a few tiny assignments. They got Grunlund, Yarko, Chionson, and Kara. Put it this way, no one I know, no one I care about, no one who's helping McDavid get to the playoffs. The only signing of a name that you really know is they flipped goaltenders. They went out and got Mike Smith from Calgary. Cam Talbot went to Calgary from Edmonton. So Mike Smith from Calgary to Edmonton. Well, here's what I will give Mike Smith over a lot of goaltenders is playoff experience, guys. Can he put up 82 games? No. You're going to need someone to take 25 games off his hands in the regular season. But if you got to the playoffs, he's been there with Calgary. He's been there with Arizona. He's an underrated goaltender as far as I'm concerned. He's won gold medals with Canada. I just think people are obsessed with his age.
Yeah.
But they're not looking at the fact if Edmonton ever got to the playoffs, they now have a veteran goaltender that if you made the playoffs, a lot of people like to blame the goaltender when McDavid's your captain and your forward. They love to blame the goaltender. They love to blame the defenseman. The fact is, you got a goaltender now. You cannot blame him if you got to the playoffs. He's a highly caliber goaltender. He's been in the playoffs. The only issue I have is he can't go 82 games. He can most probably go 60. So you need someone to take 22 games off your hand. And can you go 10-10 or 11-11 in those games? That's what's going to have to happen for a 37-year-old. He said, age is his number. I agree with you, Mike Smith. You're still a great goaltender. Your numbers are fantastic. And you made the playoffs with Calgary, the #1 seed. And he was arguably their starting goaltender.
So why did they let him go?
They had another goaltender who was really good, but was really young come playoff team. That's my point. Arguably, he did not.
But he's got to fill the hole.
He is not the reason they were the #1 seed. Okay, let me put it this way. It's not the reason they're #1 seed in the regular season. But come playoff time, he was way better than the rookie who got him to the #1 seed.
They went out in the first round, I think. I don't know where you're going with this argument, Joe.
Here's my argument.
I don't think Edmonton picked up anything. They now got an old guy who has to fill the net for most of the season. He's going to wear down, even if they make the playoffs. Even though he's an experienced goalie, 37 years old is old. That's way.
If you watch the playoffs, he's not why they lost the playoff series. He barely allowed any goals. In fact, this has been my problem with young forwards: is no one scored on Calgary. He let in 2 goals, 1 goal. They lost 1-0, 2-1, 2-1, and then they got blown out in Game 4. He played phenomenal, and in fact, one game made 65 saves. Guess what? Shane Bennett, or not Shane Bennett, that's another guy I know, by the way. His last name is Bennett. It is Shane Bennett, or Sam Bennett, sorry. Sam Bennett, I knew I'd get to it, was awful. Johnny Gaudreau was awful. So if you get to the playoffs, he's your guy. But you're right, the point I did miss was the fact he only played 40 games last year. Now, he won 29.
Who else does Edmonton have, though, to fill those other 40?
He won 29 of those 40 games.
Yeah.
I'd take that. If he can make that 50 or 60 and have that same type of percentage of wins, would be phenomenal. Could he do it? He's going to need to be healthy. It's most likely they'll need another goaltender to fill in some of those games. They had a goaltender that played really well near the end of the year. He played really well near the end of the year for Edmonton. That's why they didn't care about Talbot. He played really well at the end of the year. Could he continue and give Mike Smith half the games off? That's their key this year. Is can this rookie goaltender that they re-signed because they liked him so much and he did play well, can he give Mike Smith half the games off? And come playoff time, roll with the hot goaltender. In my mind, though, it'd be Mike Smith's veteranism that'd get him through the playoffs if they were able to make it. But I don't think it's enough to matter. It creates some conversation. It makes you interested that they're...
Even if it makes you a playoff team, I think that helps them overall.
Right. You got to start somewhere at this point, and this might be enough. I think Mike Smith, and even if he plays 40 games, would be a valued 40 games. Allows your other goaltender who's younger to play 40 games, play well, but if he's struggling, you got a veteran guy there at least to take some pressure off his hands, because you know, if they just went with their rookie he's not a rookie, but he's young. He's a rookie this year. If they just went with him and said, you're our guy, and then he busted, imagine that Edmonton crowd, right? Imagine the media. They're as bad as us with media. I think that would be too tough on him. So worst case, they get to go, well, we brought in a veteran goaltender, so blame him.
Well, they need to solve the problem. I mean, they went out and they picked and signed the next best player to Gretzky, probably, in the minds of everybody. He's won the MVP twice when he's really not led his team to anything. So it's obvious that the league, the players, everybody considers him the best player in the league. So they need to start winning. Every one of these best players go through a little bit of time because they're picked by the worst team in the league. So it's obvious that they need time to make, but his time has come. He's been in the league enough now. He needs to start moving this team forward. It was a mistake to make him captain to begin with.
Well, I agree with you there.
The guy's got no business being captain, except he's best player. That makes you think of Pee Wee hockey, where they make the best player captain. He has no leadership value in there. He came into the Oilers at the youngest age you can, and you're telling other veterans that this is the guy you got to listen to. I mean, they made huge mistakes, and that's been Edmonton's problem ever since they had Gretzky. But the real thing is they got a guy that he's that talented. And here's what they need to do in my mind. They make it happen soon or they trade him, because if you can't make it work with him, he's going to be one of these guys who's just going to be a great player that never makes
And part of my problem
it
has been this with the McDavid era so far. First of all, they're feeling the pressure because what the Leafs have been able to do with their young core and how quickly they've been able to win. But he was actually the first pick by the Edmonton Oilers. He should have been the finishing piece. But now they've traded away everybody. He's had like 6 coaches. Yeah. Like, my God. Like, how do you expect this team to get better when you switch coaches every year, switch goalies every year? At some point, you got to commit to your team, guys. Yeah. Like, It reminds me, if you watch basketball, Devin Booker has played 3 years in the NBA. He's had 9 coaches.
Yeah.
Like, you're not helping this young man with all these coaches and all these schemes. You need a coach. You need to keep some players. You traded away everybody every year and switch up. I don't know if this is the roster to do it, but at some point, when do you commit? I feel like because they got a 37-year-old goaltender, they might think this is the team that they're going to commit to. We'll see, but it's interesting. Otherwise, why pick him up unless it's just to, you know, take some pressure off the other goaltender's hands. But we'll see going forward. But I think Oilers are still a bust.
Every team needs a backup. They got a young goalie now, so they know they need some guy they can trust behind them. I think it's not horrible move. I don't think it's news. I don't think it's made Edmonton any different than last year. Like you say, their biggest problem is they've moved out former number 1 picks, which is the Cleveland Browns of the NHL. That's what Cleveland does. Like, take no time. Give them no time to become great. Let them work together. All these kinds of things. Just move them on, move them on. The next savior's coming. Because you're bad, you get great draft picks. They move them every time. I think Edmonton is an organization no better than the Cleveland Browns, except they have the best player in hockey. How did I get to baseball? Anyway, they got the best player in hockey, and they need to start doing something with that instead of just trading away. Or just be Edmonton. Like, just be that you're not going to make the playoffs. Just be that you're going to have some good players a couple of years, and you move them to save money and all those things. So they're a small market team as well. So we'll see what happens there, but definitely, if they're not a loser in the draft, they certainly didn't win. I mean, they swapped old goalies, and that's
so Edmonton's a loser in free agency. Islanders, people say are losers. I say they're about even. Columbus, big losers. Nashville winners. Florida winner and Columbus New York winner, sorry.
So we will see, like, we don't want to think about ice at all right now. It's summertime.
Well, there's one last
we'll see what's coming
about the
up.
Leafs a little bit.
Well, we just talked about the Leafs a lot with the Rangers. So I think
our Leafs.
I think we're there with the Leafs. It's all about Marner. It's all about what's going to happen with him. I think they've ruined him. As a Leaf, I think they should move him. They should get some now players, not draft picks. I'd be calling the Rangers. They want them. Call them, make the deal, get some guys who can step in the line and get a couple more deals. That's one thing they did do, is get a couple
So they traded Kadri, they got Tyson Barrie and Alex Kerfoot. Tyson Barrie is really the exciting one. Top 4 defenseman, probably in the Leafs. Kerfoot could be a 5 or 6. So good trade. You had to get rid of Kadri. Not because of, they actually apparently liked the way he acts. It was actually just simply cap and they need defensemen, and this was the only way they felt they could do it. So good trade by the Leafs. Got a couple of defensemen. Got rid of Kadri, some picks. They got some picks back. So Tyson Barrie, though, for Kadri, and Colorado's going to retain some of the salary. So great pickup by the Leafs there. Want to quickly point that out. I don't think Marner's the trade. I think Nylander's a trade to New York. I think they're, at the time, New York would see the value.
Yeah, here's what I can tell you. No team is picking up a guy who will sit out half a season of salary dispute. This is not the kind of attitude you want on your team. Marner's the play. Marner wants to go now. His feelings have been hurt, which people underestimate how much that does to a hockey player. When you were a revealed player here in this town and the management just screwed you around with the contract, thought they were going to get some deal with you. He is gone mentally, even if he signs a contract. Move him. Get some guys to help your team. Maybe another D. We certainly showed that we need that in the playoffs. I think that's what's got to happen. Nylander's not going anywhere. No one will trade for him because these guys are bad on your team who are going to sit out half a season and shove it to management, and then he won the battle. So there's a 2 personality losses in my mind. I don't care what kind of hockey player they are. I don't care anything else. You don't want a guy like that who'll sit out half a season on his team, and you don't want a guy now that you've hurt to the point he just wants to go somewhere else, just personality-wise.
Well, 2 quick things. Montreal has done an offer sheet to Sebastian Aho. It would include a 1st, 2nd, and 3rd round pick. The Canes do get time to match it. They're probably going to match it. I would imagine Sebastian Aho, very important in that franchise, was a huge impact on why they made the playoffs this year, made a playoff run. But interesting, it's the first offer sheet in a long time in the NHL. Yeah. Coming from Montreal, Montreal's another team is desperate for a big star right now. They feel like
doesn't do things like this.
No, but they feel like they had a good free agency. They had a good draft. They had a decent season last year. Almost made the playoffs. Carey Price is near the end of his rope. You got to win now, guys. I know he still has like 5 years left on his deal, but he's aging and he's proven it with his body.
Injured every year.
So you need to now. So watch out for Montreal. I expect a big splash from Montreal. This offer sheet, the willingness to do it is surprising.
Yeah. Sebastian
Aho, if they got him, would be great. Sebastian Aho has signed it, which means if they don't match it, he's already agreed to go. So Montreal might be in play. It won't be from the Leafs, though, unfortunately, even though it might be a good deal for both sides. It won't be from the Leafs. But watch Montreal. They're another team. They did do an offer sheet, though. I wanted to point that out because the first one is so long, it's breaking news.
Well, there you are. Craziness of draft day. More is going to happen over
free
summer.
Agency day.
We'll be back. Anything comes up in the NHL, over the summertime. I'm sure there'll be some things that are going to make sense. Martin's huge to us. We'll be back reporting on any of those as they happen over the summer.